welcome to another episode of Getting Hammered. It is Christmas week. The stockings are hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon will be there. By the way, my co-host, Vic Madison of the Washington Free Beacon, I was reading that poem to my children last week. The babies sort of enjoyed it, actually. They like the rhythm of it. And I realized
there's a rhythm.
I might be able to recite that poem, or most parts of it.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, we had a version of that book in the form of where it's a picture book when the kids were little, but there was an audio component where you could record your voice. So when you turn the page, the book speaks to you, with the voice.
Yeah.
And it was from my mother-in-law, and it's terrifying. They're just... I used to joke all the time. She's here? Where did she come from?
In the spirit of this season.
She does it with such a great sort of flair. It was the night before Christmas. She's very good at that.
Oh, that's cool. So you could record it for the book. That's fun.
It's like you turn the page and they do the thing. It's
like
personalized. It's very sweet.
I like it.
It's very sweet.
Well, I'm not going to attempt to do it now because
maybe after
I fear
the show.
that I would fail. However, after I bragged about myself, I'm definitely not going to try it during the show because we're going to have boozy eggnog on the tasting menu today.
Exciting.
On this episode of a show called Getting Hammered. Appropriately.
Yes.
All righty. Should we just start right off?
We could, yeah. Well, I would say the first thing is...
Oh, and you've provided some more
I
refreshments
will not even.
for us.
Yes, I've brought snacks, and these are rum balls and bourbon balls, courtesy of my mother-in-law, Linda Dwyer.
And they are really good. I have some every year.
Every year. And I have to say that this year's bourbon balls are the best that they've ever been. Sometimes they're too boozy for me. So she said that she used less whiskey this time. But I think that works. And her rum balls are always very good.
They are fantastic.
Now, there's chopped nuts in them. I think that's one of the seeds. Little chopped little walnuts. It's really quite a delight. And it pairs nicely with eggnog, Mary Catherine.
Therefore, maybe we should kick off.
Why don't we? What do we got?
We have a little something called Old New England.
Is it like Old English leather? I hope not.
You know what it made me think of?
What?
A 40 of OE.
Yeah, I was going to say. See that? That's what I'm saying. I think it's
wondering.
Maybe it's made by the same.
I'm actually wondering if this is OE's malt eggnog entry into the Christmas Christmas market. Old New England, I'm probably slandering you. Classic fresh dairy eggnog. There's something about when a label says fresh dairy that makes me question, was it not?
That's right.
Made with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, rum, brandy, and blended whiskey. 15% on the
This is very exciting. And, it's very interesting for you, Mary Catherine. It's quite a challenge because, as you stated in previous episodes, you are not an eggnog person.
I do not like eggnog.
Do you tolerate it, or you just flat out, this is not your thing?
It kind of grosses me out. Not going to lie. I'm sorry, everyone. It's very grinchy of me.
Let me ask you this. Do you like milkshakes?
I do. This is a funny thing because
the same
in
thing.
general...
this is very... I just had a little...
In general, fresh dairy, big thumbs up from me, right?
Yeah.
There's something about it that just is not... I find it a little cloying.
Is it... Well, I mean... it's like a pina colada. That's delightful.
I like a pina colada, but I like a pina colada only in a certain setting. So I appreciate... if I were
to
drink
had eggnog in the Caribbean, you would be fine with it.
No. If I were to drink eggnog...
Yeah.
It would be beside a Christmas tree, once a year. But today we're going to do it for the show.
Well, here we are. Here's to Getting Hammered. Cheers.
Old
Merry
New
Christmas.
England.
Old New England. A lovely aroma.
Oh. Hot diggity.
Yes. Less eggy, more boozy. Because
we're getting drunk today.
You can get, eggnog at your, any store. And a lot of times it's served just as is. Maybe the key is that you need to booze up your eggnog to make it more palatable for you.
That may be it, because I like this better than what I've had in the past.
Could you imagine taking some whiskey or rum? Traditionally in the United States, eggnog was originally made with rum in the 1770s during colonial times. Putting that in a McDonald's eggnog, I think that would be eggnog shake. I think that would be a party.
That would be a party.
So I like it.
Maybe by the time we're done with this, I will wonder why I didn't like eggnog.
Yes.
I'll be like, this stuff is great.
It'll be a revelation. Eggnog, in case you're wondering, It's been around since medieval Britain,
Oh, wow.
but we have known it. It's been recorded in colonial America, and again, as I mentioned, with rum, and it's like egg yolks mixed in with dairy products, and then you throw in alcohol. Of course, that's not what we. Such an American British thing to
I
do.
mean,
I
honestly,
guess.
now that we talk about it, I'm like, why don't I like it?
No, I know this is.
I think it's just I think it's hanging on from my childhood. The cartons in the fridge. There's
Yes, the
something about
cartons.
it.
Yeah. It's almost like you're drinking one, like buttermilk or something. It's kind of
Yes,
it's
it
a
sort of
thick
grossed me out.
consistency.
Have you heard, by the way, of George Washington's famous punch?
Do tell.
I just brought up a recipe of it. Somewhere I was recently actually served a version of it. It was a place in Georgetown that has fancy old cocktails, and they made Washington's punch, and so I tried some. But I'll read you the original
Yes.
recipe. 1 quart strong brewed English breakfast tea, sweetened. We're already on a good pace here because that's like Southern stuff right there. 1 gallon good quality bourbon. I already can't talk. 1 gallon sherry. 1 quart sweet vermouth. 1 pint best quality Jamaican rum.
Yes.
1 pint yellow or green chartreuse. 4 bottles champagne, or more to the taste. 12 lemons. 1 quart maraschino cherries without stems, but with the juice.
That's impressive.
That sounds good.
Yes, George Washington. He initially wanted to call it Long Island iced tea, but instead ended up with this punch.
You know what? It is fitting that the father of our country created the first Long Island iced tea.
And he also served eggnog in Mount Vernon. So I mean, that was a thing. It's a festive thing.
By the way, we were at Mount Vernon for the Christmas
we were talking about
event.
the last episode.
And I was dragging the babies around in their wagon, and we came across there's a giant bust of George Washington as you enter Mount Vernon.
Yes.
Huge. I mean, the head is the size of half of this set. And I said, oh, to the babies, and of course there's staffers of Mount Vernon standing nearby, and I'm like, well, we should teach the babies to say George Washington. Maybe they can say that. So I said, can you say George? I said, George. I said, Washington? And they're like, what?
Right.
They can't quite do that one.
Okay.
But then they look up, and they've got this new thing where anything they see that's like slightly out of the ordinary, they say, Gary. It's scary. So they go, because he's so gigantic,
Yes.
they go, Gary George. Gary George. And I was like, yeah, that is not very hospitable to the nice workers of the Mount Vernon.
If I went there, I'd be looking at it and be like, oh, that's about the scale for the head size for me. If they said if your kid something, they'd be Scary Vic. They would say Scary Vic.
Scary Vic.
Very large head. Large head.
Shall we try another one?
Yes. What is this one called?
This one is called Eggnog, premium holiday nog made with Southern Comfort.
And it's SoCo.
So I would say that these 2 bottles, by the way, if you're looking for presentation at a party, that they really speak of their regions.
Yes.
So Old New England has like a very chill scene.
Yeah.
Of
I like that.
Of
It's a nice
small
font.
town delights.
Should really watch this on YouTube.
It looks vintage, and then the South is just like, nah, we going all red and green with some sparkles.
Let's
And
cut to the
some-
chase.
And some ornaments, and that's what Southern Comfort will get you. So it's a very very loud bottle.
Are there alcohol content?
This is 15% as well.
So that's
30 proof.
it's like a very high end wine.
Okay, I have a little bit of a.
Yeah, you don't want, but we don't
You're gonna
have.
try not to mix.
We
but
don't
we'll do the
have
best
like
we
the.
can.
We're not like water in the buckets
There
and
we go.
things like that.
By
So
the way,
let's take a look.
what
at
did
this.
you think of these spice notes on the Old New England? Because
Yeah,
I kind of liked them.
I
I
thought
am a
it was-
nutmeg fan, which makes it again weird that I don't like eggnog.
Yes. Well, I thought it was just fine, but it's sort of the base for our test right now. It's the control at the moment. We'll see how it compares. And this one is called Yule Nog. People wonder what nog is, and like use your noggin, your head, but no, a noggin is, I believe it's like a wooden cup, and I think it might have to do with that.
Okay, this one says holiday nog with a spiceful hit.
A spiceful.
I'm doing it in Southern accent.
And it's also.
I can.
So this is Southern Comfort in here.
Southern Comfort.
Cheers.
Cheers. This one seems thinner.
Well, that is a distinctly different taste than our Old England special. What's it called? Old England?
Old New England.
Old New England.
I'm regionally biased toward the South, but I think I prefer the Old New England. It's a little thicker.
Yes.
Has a more traditional spice flavor.
This one, however, it's Southern Comfort is it is not bourbon per se. People tend to confuse that. It's its own thing. Is this from Tennessee? Do we know where it is? It must be fun if it's Southern Comfort.
I guess so.
Right?
Let's see. Where are you made? Where are you made? Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, forgive me. I meant Kentucky.
Yeah, Louisville.
Sorry.
It's okay. We've already had 2 sips of eggnog. What are we supposed to do?
Were you, when you were in college, were you did you ever have like SoCo and lime? Was SoCo did you have that?
No.
Because that's very
I feel
popular.
like I maybe had like ginger and Crown or ginger and SoCo at times.
Yeah.
I've never been a bourbon person. I know it's off-brand.
What do we even now?
Yeah.
Really?
It's just not my thing.
That's interesting.
I've
you like a martini?
I do, and at times I've thought, Mary Catherine, this is very off-brand. You should be a bourbon gal.
Yeah.
But
You're
I'm
from the South.
I'm simply not. And the one thing I do want to do to test this theory as thoroughly as possible, because Getting Hammered investigates,
yes,
is I need to go to Kentucky and do a bourbon crawl around all the makers.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is easy.
Yeah. And then I'll really find out.
You know what you need to do? You need to get connected to my friends at Distilled Spirits Council and go on a Kentucky bourbon trail.
This is what I got to do.
I did a bourbon trail several years ago, and we hit Bullet, which is connected with
That's my
Stitzel
husband's
Weller.
fave.
Yes, Bullet. And then we did Makers. And then we did Wild Turkey and Woodford Reserve. And maybe something else I can't remember because it's kind of a blur. I got gout, and that
got a little hazy by then.
That gout appeared on the back of my heel, and nobody could figure out what it was. Even the doctors, and they got an X-ray for it because I was like, "Is a bone spur? What's happening here?" No, it went away eventually, and then you just don't know where it's going to pop up.
It was most tragic because it prevented your late night plans from running the Kentucky.
Oh yes, I was
solo on the track.
I tell you what, though,
I could do it.
It was one of my fond memories from the Bourbon Trail. Sadly, it was on the same day we were going to have to get back to the airport in Louisville, but we went to Churchill Downs, and we were at the Woodford, the Brown Foreman box, the Brown Foreman box,
Woodford
which is
Reserve
right at the
is my
finish line.
favorite, by the way.
It's a very
if I have to choose a bourbon.
And I remember just drinking Woodford Reserve, either double barrel, platinum, whatever the high end one was, and learning about the racing form and betting on horses. I'd never really bet on horses before. I like gambling. Some people.
You, a man of New Jersey.
Yeah, a man of New Jersey, or as some people will say, oh, because you're Asian.
You, a man of renowned love of all vices.
Of all vices, yes.
Had never bet on the ponies?
No, I mean, where would I? I mean, I guess I could have gone in Jersey up to Freehold Raceway or further up north in the Meadowlands, but I like
how it's like, maybe I could find a place to bet on the ponies in New Jersey. Yes, perhaps you could.
So I never bothered to. I mean, I play all sorts of, games like craps and stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I'll see what's going on here. And then I just got into it and got totally hooked. And I get it. As soon as the horn plays that distinct song before the race, I'm like, it's like Pavlovian. I'm like, I gotta go to the cashier lady and like put in my form here for win, lose. What is it? Place, show.
I'm very much not a gambler, and sometimes I feel that I'm missing out.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, the horse racing was so much fun. It's just really exciting.
And by missing out, I mean missing out on half my salary, which I could just be giving away.
Could have been doubling it, Mary Catherine. That's what I tell my wife all the time. It's like, don't worry, the trip will pay for itself.
It's going to pay for itself.
Okay, we're moving on, aren't we?
By the way, I love that you like craps. It makes sense to me.
It's caramel flavor.
It makes sense to me that you like craps because it's a very social game.
Yes.
That is why I would choose that game if I were to choose a game. Mm-hmm. However, there's a lot of rules, so that
it's easy.
Bumps me a little bit.
It's easy.
But Steve plays craps because it's the best probability for him to
It's a
do well.
Yeah.
So it's a very different vibe from you and Steve about why you engage in the game of craps.
Well, no, I will.
Steve is running the numbers in his head constantly.
I will acknowledge that. You know what? It's pretty good because they're, dice are funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go for 20 minutes without hitting a 7. And by then you're making lots of money for lots of people, depending on how much you're willing to put down there. Blackjack is just a grind.
Yeah.
It really is. And the longer you stay, it's going to happen.
I find it very, you know what I find blackjack to be like? Remember, we don't really do it much anymore because we all have digital watches and or phones.
Yes.
But when people would ask you the time, and I would look at my watch and I'd be like, I know how to tell time, but the pressure is getting to me right now when someone's asking if I have an analog watch.
This is interesting. Okay, I'm really
Playing
curious where this
blackjack-
is going. Yeah.
Playing blackjack is like that to me because
you're adding up to 21?
I'm under great social pressure to do simple math very quickly and make a decision
And make
about
the
it.
calculation. But a lot of it depends on what the face card is of the dealer. So if the dealer is showing a 4, 5, or 6, technically there's an 85% chance that he's
See,
going
I
to
don't
bust.
know all that stuff. though.
Well, I am a degenerate.
Okay.
Okay.
The only time I went to, or I've been to Vegas before, but the only time I really gambled in Vegas, we gave it a try. I was about
What did you
21 and a half
Way
or
down,
something.
yeah.
And we were just like slumming it. And they kept coming up and carding us because, of
Who
course,
they? Who we?
just, I don't know, people from
Friend.
the casino.
Oh, no. I mean, you were with a group of friends.
Oh, yeah,
family or friends.
two girlfriends of mine.
Very nice.
We were like, let's try it out. And we
Carding
got
you.
carded constantly
The,
at our $2 blackjack table or whatever we were doing.
yeah, you will not be surprised to know that Kate did not come from a family. Despite living in Connecticut, in which they can go to Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods, they're not gambling people. It's the New England in them, I think, that sort of frowns on that sort of activity. Whereas Filipinos living in Jersey, come on, what are we doing? Let's go to Atlantic City. What else are we going to do?
It is a different vibe.
Saturday, what do we go to the buffet at the Golden Nugget and then hit the slots?
Let's introduce our next
yes, okay.
nog
Yeah.
before I tell you about a story from
Please.
your home state of New Jersey.
Yes.
All right. Pennsylvania Dutch.
Well, this is good. They,
Eggnog.
when the Amish, I'm sure this is something they could do. Sans alcohol.
I like that we're traveling here. We're hitting all the hot spots.
Yeah, we were in
made
New
with
England,
real dairy
Mid-Atlantic, in
cream,
the South.
rum, brandy, and blended whiskey. 14.75 on the alcohol, a little lower.
Sounds
and we have a
lovely.
pastoral scene.
Yes.
We have a pastoral scene with a little buggy. All right, let's try this one. I was going to tell you, did you know that in your home state of New Jersey, there is a Christmas tree farm, Wyckoff's Christmas tree farm,
I know Wyckoff.
that,
It's where the Jonas Brothers are from.
oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Celeb sighting. Where they sell multicolor, technicolor Christmas trees. So it's a farm. It's been in business forever. It's been around since 1839. In 1967, the family sold its first Christmas tree, 6 in total that season. But it grows these trees
Yeah.
and then it paints them with latex paint so that part of the farm you can get a pink Christmas tree or a purple Christmas tree
Wow.
or a red, white, and blue Christmas tree, but they're real trees. And they look
Yeah.
pretty
because
fabulous.
Otherwise, I mean, if you wanted to
I mean,
go,
look at that.
that's insane.
They look
It
fabulous.
looks real
Yeah.
because it is.
It's just a real tree, but it's turquoise or it's pink.
I would get a white one just in tribute to Goodfellas. And it's Karen, I got the most expensive tree they had.
The state of journalism today, though, by the way, it took me clicking on 3 stories to figure out what they mean by, like, how did they get
Right.
that color,
Yeah,
guys? Is there some miracle
you
by
gotta
which?
move up that nut
grew
graph,
them?
people. Move it up. Okay.
All right, we are going
Cheers.
to
This
try
is Pennsylvania Dutch.
Pennsylvania Dutch. Here we go. Ooh, baby.
You're doing pretty well, I'm going to say. For somebody who had an aversion, and I'm saying it past tense, to eggnog, I think you're kind of enjoying yourself.
I don't mind it. Maybe it was in my head.
This is
as
quite
something
tasty.
I disliked
You
more
know
than
what?
I
The
did.
Pennsylvania Dutch is quite, and I like all things Pennsylvania Dutch. Let me tell you, you know where I learned about it? I voluntarily read a book, and I say this because I rarely get a chance to just read on my own,
Right.
not related to school or work. And I was in school at the time, and I think I had just graduated from high school before I went to Georgetown, and I said, I'll pick up a book just for the heck of it. And I had a choice. I remember at the time, because of course I'm a slow reader, so I'm only going to read one or the other.
Right.
And it was either John Grisham's The Firm or James Michener's The Novel. And I picked James Michener's The Novel. I don't think it's sold as well
No, I don't think it
as
did.
The Firm,
The Firm.
but it's kind of a mystery thing going on at the end there. But, Michener is very much about painting the scene. And, he's done Hawaii. He does these grand, vistas of every place that he's visited around the world, and so that it's rich in detail. And of all places, it was just Pennsylvania Dutch country. The whole movie, the whole thing. Yeah, I learned about like scrapple and things like that, apple butter. So I
mean,
have a
those
little bit
things-
of a fondness.
Those things appeal to me.
Yeah. So what do you think about this one vis-a-vis?
It's very similar to the old New England, I would say.
Yes.
It's the same.
I like it. It's not I mean, old New England is a creamier color, but I tend to be liking, as we're going down this list here, I tend to like each one better than the one before.
Interesting.
At least for the first three. And we have two more.
This one is more booze forward, I feel like, even than the old New England. But all of them are distinctly boozy.
Yes.
So anything you
I
buy,
think that's the key.
you're
And I
gonna be
think
good.
if you're wondering about Mary Catherine, the key to her liking things is just adding alcohol.
I mean, truly that might be the problem because when I formed my impression of eggnog, I was a child.
Yeah, there you go.
So like, why would I?
Yeah.
But but as a child, you would think you would like a milkshakey, sweet beverage.
But there's something about you developed a prejudice early
did.
on in life. That's like for me, for example.
Hate isn't born; it's taught. What happened to me?
I had an early prejudice, and I still do, against Cadbury egg creams. Those egg things with the thing. I think it's disgusting. Look, Jennifer just got a shiver.
I just discovered something.
Yeah.
I've gone the opposite direction. I loved Cadbury cream eggs
and now you're
as a
revolted
child,
by it.
and now I do not like them. Hated eggnog. Do I like it now? Maybe I've made a trade.
I wanted to say this. You were talking about your love for nutmeg, and I had asked Jennifer. She had brought it here. She had forgotten. I had forgotten, because it's always nice to sprinkle a little nutmeg on there. When I was in college, there was this joke in the Foreign Service school among professors that would say, eggnog is why we invaded Grenada in 1983.
Really?
Yes, allow me to explain.
Do tell.
The invasion happened, as you know.
I'm going to have a rum bottle.
Explain
this to
this
me.
is a little story time here. These ragtag communist sympathizing rebels, of course, had taken over the island. There are Americans on the island. They went to the medical school, as you know, and it was in October. Grenada is the second largest producer of nutmeg in the world after Indonesia.
Oh.
And the thought was, well, you can't have eggnog without the nutmeg. Did I say nutmeg or eggnog? Did I say the second largest producer of nutmeg? Okay,
you got it right.
Good. I'm confusing this since this morning. I was talking to
We know
Jennifer
things.
about it. Yes. So because it's the second largest producer of nutmeg, and you need nutmeg in the eggnog, we got to invade Grenada. And that's
There
how
have
it
been
happened.
worse reasons.
And it went well. Everything's fine. Everybody, watch Heartbreak Ridge. Everybody got medals.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. Okay, well, I like this.
Alrighty. I want to also note, since we were talking about Christmas trees, that
Please.
many of the Christmas trees that you buy in America
Mm-hmm.
come from Western North Carolina, which is
Really?
yes,
Oh.
which is suffering, of course, still from
Yeah.
the effects of Helene. And I'm glad to hear that word got out before the Christmas tree season, for the most part, or there was an attempt to get word out that many of those Christmas tree farms were open and were salvaging the Christmas trees they could to go to market this year. If your Christmas tree was a little bit more expensive this year, this may have been part of the reason. The real issue, though, moving forward, if you want to just keep your eye out and continue to help Western North Carolina in future Christmases, the issue is whether they have seedlings that will continue to grow properly after these floods. So keep them in your thoughts. And if you can contribute or you can buy from those Western North Carolina farms, they are open and operating this Christmas and will be in the future, but they may be struggling. So
how is your tree, Mary Catherine, at your house?
it's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
It's doing pretty good.
Ours is a little shreddy at the bottom, but it's okay. It's fine.
Ours is holding up pretty well. And aside from a couple ornaments gone missing and or hand grenaded across the room by my son.
That's right. All things considered,
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. I feel like I'm pretty surprised how well they've learned not to just go over and yank on it. Like sort of once it was scenery, they were cool with it.
That's key.
Yeah.
As I mentioned on the last episode, I happened to look up and suddenly the whole tree was well decorated. I put one decoration up myself, an ornament, and I do it every year, which is the pickle.
Ah.
And apparently that's a German ornament. And somebody said they didn't know about this, but I do that. And I was telling this to Hugh Hewitt on his show. I put the pickle up. That's it. But
that's your part of the
only
tradition.
thing is, if anyone ever gives you an ornament as a gift, make sure it's displayed prominently when that person shows up. So, because you know they're going to look for it.
Oh my
you
gosh.
know they're going to look for
I like to get Christmas ornaments as souvenirs when we go places.
Yeah.
Because they are small. They are by their very nature stored most of the year, so they're not like all in your space all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And you get to look at your tree and commemorate the things that you've done together as a family. However, in the end, am I like, golly, we've been a lot of places.
Yeah.
Did I need to buy so many ornaments? Yeah, I am a little bit like that. But
And then
maybe my son will destroy several of them, and then we won't have.
Then you'll have more room. You get to that point though where you do have to start making decisions on what goes in and what gets left out.
Yes.
Every now and then a nice one doesn't make it, but you know.
Yeah, and we don't have a very big tree this year. I've learned to deal with that. I used to think they all got to go on there.
Everything
has to go on there.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
no.
Another year will come. We'll do a different grouping next year.
You've reached
everything will be fine.
You've reached a point where you just want a tasteful tree.
Well,
not like an
I don't
everything
think
tree.
that's in the cards.
Wait till you see ours. You'll see.
Here's the thing: is that I actually get to decide whether it's a tasteful tree or not because I do the lights.
Yes.
And if you do the lights, you get to decide colored or white.
I think that's fair. Go ahead. No, we did. Kate asked me my preference, and I like the white, and she said what I have a problem with a couple of the lights blinking.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. As I said, as long as I know we're blinking and I'm not having a stroke.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I choose the lights. So
what did you?
Given
what do you like?
my mood in a year, I will choose colored or white because we have both.
Yeah.
And this year I went colored, and then I put them on there, and I was like, that's kind of whack.
No, I remember when I was a little kid, our Christmas tree, which was a fake tree, had all sorts of wacky, crazy lights going on. You know, it was a big show.
Oh, ours was
great for the kids.
The funny thing about ours is, as a child, we always had a real tree.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a real tree with old school incandescent lights. And those things were hot like a fire.
Yeah. The tips are, yes, absolutely.
And my dad was always very fire safety guy.
Yeah.
We didn't have a fire in the fireplace. We were very careful about candles, and they were like frowned upon in our house. But the giant flammable bush that you bring in once a year and string super hot lights around.
Yeah.
We did that. Now he would unplug it every night, so
that's what we do.
It cooled off. But there was even, I remember we called it the dreamsicle bulb, and it was an orange bulb that the middle had been burnt to whiteness because it was so hot.
Yeah.
And that's not a dreamsicle. That is just a fire hazard.
Yeah, it's a fire hazard.
That's Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Yeah,
yelling at you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have now our fourth bottle here. This is a fancy one. This is called Screwball. Jennifer, our producer, says this is apparently really popular with the kids. So we'll see. This is a peanut butter whiskey. I'm all for that. So if you have a peanut butter allergy, don't drink this drink. Eggnog.
Do we think the peanuts are real?
Flavor. To the Misfits, Black Sheep, and Screwballs. It's Screwball with a K. Whiskey with dairy cream and natural flavors.
All right.
This is 14.75% alcohol. And it is Mira Loma, California. So we're going across the country for this one here.
Here we go. California.
Sorry.
California, of course, they charge you more. This is the Gavin Newsom effect on eggnog, not to shade Screwball, which is probably good.
Jennifer, you're saying this was an expensive bottle? Yes. $30 or $40.
Yeah, so like sort of double the price of the other bottles.
But the egg from the eggnog came from chickens that were cage-free. So
they actually live at the governor's mansion with Newsom. Yeah.
That's right. They're from the French Laundry.
No, look, I think business people who do business in California are brave.
Just like did you see that, Jennifer? I'm pouring this thing and then just a lump came out. That must be the peanut butter.
Oh, gross.
Okay, we're going to find out about this thing.
Okay, it smells good.
It smells like peanut butter. I don't know what that lump was. That's the second thing is you're wondering, wow, if you're just listening to this on the show, you're thinking, I can't tell, this is ridiculous. You need to watch it. And I understand that by the time you're listening to this show, a lot of you are probably traveling to see your loved ones for Christmas. if you have a car or a minivan, you can play the movie. You could play Getting Hammered on the screen. Don't look at it yourself if you're driving, but it's for the rest of the family. This is a great show
Wholesome.
while you're driving down the interstate. Okay.
All right, here we're gonna
I
try
can't
it.
believe
At
yeah.
your- Hey,
Okay.
look, we're not shy about these kind of things.
No,
That's
this is
why we
gonna-
get together when my voice sounds like this in person.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
There you go. Oh,
Wowza.
wow. Okay.
Well, it's a distinctive flavor.
I was liking every bottle successively until this one. It's very salty, and I think it's because of the peanut butter. And but I love the show so much that I will finish this little glass, including the lump, which I assume is a chunk of peanut butter.
I don't know what to say about this one. I both equally love and hate it.
It's very salty.
That's what I like about it. And then there's a very interesting aftertaste that I'm not mad about. But I also am like, ugh, what's that?
Yeah. You know what? After the initial shock, because it is a big change. It's a big change.
I don't know. I can't decide if I like it or I hate it.
I have some updates for you.
Okay, what are some updates?
On a previous episode, we talked about the Crumble cookie.
Yes.
And Jennifer our producer, was talking about 1,000, 1,600 calories. So the one that has the most, I think it's like the brownie cake cookie sundae, something like that. It's about 1,200 calories.
Okay.
But the interesting thing, Mary Catherine, is shortly after we discussed it on the show, the Wall Street Journal published a piece on the amazing $1 billion business known as Crumble Cookie.
Oh, geez,
That's
really?
in revenue. A little over $1 billion in revenue. And the co-founder said, his last name is McGowan, said he specifically had in mind that this thing was going to be driven by social media.
Oh.
And originally, the people who started going into the stores were, older, like our age, 20s, 30s, but and more women than men.
Okay.
And then suddenly it became this huge teen, tween, girl sensation. And that's where it drove business through the roof.
That is wild.
On Instagram and they have a whole team, like 30, 40 people, and they're all staging every day or every week is a different kind of cookie. Must be every week. It can't be every day. And then they put it up so everybody's waiting for, all these girls are waiting for what is the latest cookie, and I need to have that cookie. The ones that they showcased were in the 700 calorie range.
Okay.
Which, by the way,
Sounds quite reasonable.
there's more sugar and more carbs than a Big Mac.
Oh.
So I can tell you what I'm getting.
I'm gonna go for the Big Mac.
I'm going for the Big Mac.
Yeah.
Slightly more calories, but that's okay.
But some of
Calories
those
get a bad rap.
Those calories are from protein and fat.
Thank you. That's in Germany, in German, they don't call them calories. They call them energy.
That's what they are.
That's what it is.
That's what they are. That's what I tell my kids. We talk about food. We say like,
That was not a lump of peanut butter. That was just a lump of
oh dear.
something. But
You
I
can-
love this show so much that this is why I'll suffer through it. Because I don't want to have that mixed in with our finale over here.
We're gonna be fine.
We're going to be fine. So
gonna be
that
fine.
is the story. Oh, but here's the more interesting thing about Crumble.
Okay.
Started in Logan, Utah. Two guys, cousins by marriage.
Okay.
And they start making references to their, large families and cookies and such. So I did a little snooping around.
Mm-hmm.
They're Mormons.
So what is so funny about this conversation
Yes.
is that I deemed it maybe slightly problematic, so I didn't say it when you were discussing this before, but now I'm going to say it, which is that teen girls and Mormons don't do alcohol generally.
Yes.
So the substitute ends up being very, very elaborate sodas and baked goods. And the Utah, as a result, Swig is one of their most famous.
So
It's like a boutique soda place, and they have cookies there. Crumble, coming out of Utah, does not surprise me because there's a lot of enthusiasm
Yeah.
for these types of
right.
products.
This is where they get to.
Yeah. So
Wow. You
it's
thought
like-
you were
it's-
thinking
I
about
was thinking that it's
That is amazing.
it's the mocktail
yeah.
of of the world.
No,
Like
that's right.
Like fancy baked goods.
Because they can't have alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't even think they can have coffee, right? Caffeine is kind of a thing.
It depends on the
Depends on
person.
your
Yeah.
particular.
I don't want to pretend to be an expert.
But sugar is one thing that they can have. Thank
Yes.
goodness for that.
But yeah, it leads to innovation.
It leads
in
to
these
innovation.
areas.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, for me, that it would be a health concern if all of my excesses were physically devoted towards the sugar versus the alcohol, which does not have sugar. I'm kidding. Okay.
You can go carb free on some of your alcohol.
I just again, this is like our
You don't, but you could.
I could. Yeah, this is like our conversation about my being an Alawite Muslim because of the lack of dietary restrictions as they celebrate Christmas.
Before we try our final,
Yes, our final one here.
Eggnog,
Yes,
let me
time
introduce.
flies. Time
Let
flies.
me
What do you got?
introduce a story about another final frontier.
Please do.
And it's like loosely snow themed, so I feel like
Okay.
it counts.
Oh, right.
A pastor took a group of flat earthers
Okay.
to Antarctica to prove definitively what shape our planet is, and some of the truthers were startled to find that the globe is indeed round. In an expedition dubbed the Final Experiment, Pastor Will Duffy took a group of flat earthers to Antarctica for the first time. His mission to prove that there are no barriers, literal or figurative, to prevent them from visiting, but also that the sun shines there 24 hours a day in the summer, something that simply couldn't happen if the planet was actually flat. He says, I created the Final Experiment to end this debate once and for all. After we go to Antarctica, no one has to waste any more time debating the shape of the Earth. Well, sir, the internet exists,
Yes,
so we will
exactly.
definitely be debating it.
Yeah.
But a very influential and famous flat earther, Jaron Campanella, admitted, this is actually sort of a sweet story, went to Antarctica, saw that there was 24 hours of sun and was like, sometimes you're wrong in your life. I thought there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it.
You know what I would say?
Yeah.
To defend the flat earthers? Optical illusion.
I mean, some of them I'm sure are saying that.
Yeah.
But, it's actually kind of nice to see someone encounter new information and be like, okay, noted.
The flat earth thing is a real thing. My sister was telling me she was going somewhere and had a driver and like an Uber driver or something and got in this conversation and the guy was talking about it like it's a real deal.
It's doesn't feel that uncommon to have questions in this area.
Yes.
Which sort of
Oh,
surprised me.
Oh, in this area because of
No,
yeah,
because,
it's
like,
ripe for sort of
And I think it's also ripe for internet discussion, which is why you hear a lot about it. But yeah, the 24-hour sun convinced him, and and others will likely be convinced, and others will say, "How dare you?" But anyway, it just seems like a kind of a nice thing to see that happen. Hey, also, I totally think the Earth is flat, and someone should take me on a trip to describe it to me.
Antarctica is also where they keep the UFOs, by the way.
Obviously.
'Cause, it's like a whole other world down there. We are now at the end of our tasting with the last of them. And this is an interesting one. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for getting as always, really, our unsung heroine. Midnight Moon, Moonshake, Holiday Nog, Moonshine Cream. So, of course, this was bound to happen that you would have
It's the last
eggnog and moonshine. Moonshine cream liqueur. And this is interesting. It's from Madison, North Carolina.
Okay.
Do you know where Madison is?
I don't know if I know where Madison is, though, but
You've got a big
I
state.
assume it's out
Every
by
now-
the Tennessee border.
Every
if
now
it's
and then
making
I'll hear
moonshine.
about some place in New Jersey that I've never heard about because it's such a big state.
We will find it.
Okay.
Oh, it's not out west. It's by Greensboro.
All
It's
right.
north of
Here,
Greensboro.
give me your glass. And
Now
we'll
I
have-
know.
Oh, when we were on the Bourbon Trail, by the way, we also did a tasting of moonshine, and it was very interesting. And one of the ones that I tried was a what do you call it? What is that pie called? It's like a
Pecan pie?
no. It's a silly one. It's like
Moon pie.
I guess it was moon pie. It was moon pie.
Moon pie moonshine?
Yes, and I have to tell you something.
We're dying of decadence over here.
I've had real moonshine out of a mason jar, and not like from a manufacturer, but like somebody's friend of a friend of a friend who had it.
Same. It was a high school party, but yes.
Yeah, I had half. It was a high school party. Yes, I was there. I was 50. I was at the same party.
No, I was.
No, oh, sorry.
I was saying when I had it out of the.
Okay. Sure, Mary Catherine. Okay, here we go.
Suddenly he's like coming up with alibis. Well, I wasn't at. I wouldn't say it was a high
I
school
was talking
party.
to my friend Matt G. We'll just call him that. And he was saying, this is a good party. We got to hang out more. Okay.
Oh dear. All right. What's our
Now,
alcohol?
by the time this comes out, we'll all know the report.
Woo!
Okay. This one is, okay, here we go. Moonshine, eggnog, why not?
All right.
Now, here's what's interesting. None of the selections that Jennifer found had rum in them. So you could put rum.
Well, I think there is rum.
Oh, there's rum in the first one.
as an ingredient
Okay.
in some of them,
Oh,
but
okay.
they do lead
Correction,
with lead
correction.
with bourbon.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Cheers.
It's the fancier. Interesting smell. Actually, don't smell it. Just drink it.
Not bad. The alcohol is a sharper taste, which you would imagine.
Yeah.
With moonshine.
I'd rather have my moonshine
like-
in moon pie flavor.
I like the nutmeg though.
Moon pie, yes. Okay. I don't know, because you know what? We do need to do a victory lap and pick the one that's your favorite for one, just to as a nightcap to this episode
Yep.
that we're filming at 11 a.m. Thanks. Just
Don't
now
tell the
you
people-
find out.
Don't tell the people our secrets, Vic.
No, this is like when I used to interview the losers of each week of Top Chef, right? And I would get on a call. This is when I was at the Standard, and you'd get on a call, but it was like me and like one other reporter for some reason. And you talk, and Bravo NBC arranged it, and you get on a call to talk to the person who just got eliminated. And I would always have these questions about like, okay, so this is happening then. And while you were learning about this, were the other chefs still back at the apartment? Were they there? And they'd freeze, and immediately an NBC handler would step in and say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't get into, because it was all about like the illusion of like, you get the sense that everything is happening all at the same time.
Right.
And in fact, like, it
There's
took
a lot of
place
TV
over.
magic /
A lot of
lies
TV magic
happening.
Yeah. Same thing with that Queer Eye for the Straight Guy when they do I came home from my makeover and the kitchen's remodeled,
I used to be a big Top Chef fan, but I lost track of it over the years. But my favorite line from it ever is it was in the early seasons, and it was a contestant. I believe his name is like Fabiano or something.
Oh,
like so very Italian.
Yes.
And he says this. Hold on, I think this is a clip of it.
So I decided to do seared scallops with a roasted fennel and garlic puree.
That's one competitor, and then
okay.
we have our hero.
All she does is scallops. For Christ's sake, come on. This is Top Chef, is not Top Scallops.
Good for him.
I've been saying that for 15 years, and no one knows what it's from. This is Top Chef, not Top Scallop.
Well, now we know, and I'm going to use that from now on. That's a great line.
So anytime there's scallops on offer, you're going to say, this is Top Chef.
There was an early season. One of my favorite contestants was a really tall chef named CJ. And it's things that you can't do anymore. There was a scene where Padma Lakshmi, right, who is the famous,
Yes.
beautiful,
By the way,
erudite host.
when I snuck into the
Co-host.
aforementioned White House Correspondents' Dinner party under the alias of Emily Kyle,
Yes.
she was there.
Of course she was.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. She was probably there with Christopher.
Fabio was his name. Fabio Viviani says.
Viviani.
This is not it's Top Chef, not Top Scallops.
Scallops, good for him. But CJ was the other contestant, and she comes into the room like the surprise early morning, like we're gonna get an early start to the day thing.
Right.
And CJ just says, he looks up and there's Padma Lakshmi standing like over him. He's like, my dream has come true, and she barely she didn't laugh or anything, which was kind of funny. But one of his things was, and I was very sympathetic, he had gotten eliminated, and it was because he was really overthinking what the co-host Tom Colicchio was going to expect from him. And it's like, well, I could totally picturing him saying, that's too many ingredients. I mean, it's really quite simple. You should just do this. And then if he does it quite simply, he's going to say, you could have had more ingredients. It's too simple. And I was very sympathetic because I think a lot of people go through life, if you're working with other colleagues, overthinking
Yes.
about, are they going to say one? Or you could totally picture them saying one or the other.
Yeah, this to me is whenever I watch a cooking show like that, a competition show, I watch the British Bake Off
Oh, yes.
frequently, is you do get, that's the hardest part, it would seem to me, is like you get so in your head about, do you follow your gut? Do you're trying to be creative but not too creative,
Right.
a little risky but not too risky.
Right.
And We just talk, so there's
It's about
not
reading
that
the
much
mind
risk.
of the judges. It's not necessarily what you think is the most amazing thing, but what you think they think is the most amazing thing. Who's your favorite judge on British Baking Show?
Oh, it's so hard to say.
The woman is very nice.
Yeah, no.
And she's really interesting and a real sort of proof.
The hosts also
track
are
record.
great. The interesting thing about Bake Off is that they have new hosts come in frequently.
Oh,
and you
okay.
would think that it would jar the whole vibe of the thing, but
no.
it does not. They always have these great people in there. It seems wrong to say not Paul, but I really enjoy Prue.
Yeah, she's great.
I mean, this is the magic of British Bake Off, not to be a cop, but not to give a cop-out answer. But the whole thing is so dang charming.
It works well together. The funny thing is, a lot of people go to England wanting to go visit the tent. The tent does not exist. It only exists during the taping.
While it's in production.
Otherwise, it's gone. They want to visit as if they can go see the whole thing, but it's
What
not
I
really.
want to know is where they are in Britain.
Oh, yeah.
It gets almost failing sunshine the entire time
It
they're
is.
filming.
That's right, which is very odd.
Almost unfailing.
For
Good
England.
Lord.
Yeah, is it the Cotswolds? Is it to the north? I don't know. The lake? I have no
A
idea.
lot of
where-
sunshine is what I was trying to say.
Yes. What did you say?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm getting lightheaded over here. It really is. It's just I gotta go to
Oh my
lunch.
gosh.
Okay. I have before I forget. I've got a call out. This is a long one.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, but I'm going to do it anyway. We got an email from listener Kurt Parliament, who's making the argument to keep things the way they are for daylight savings time. Remember we
Okay,
had this?
yes.
Okay. So he says,
Oh, is he going to explain it to me and make my brain hurt?
yes.
Okay.
No. He's this is all about personal experience. It's a couple pages here.
Oh my gosh.
He
All right,
says
I got a
in
heart
part-
out in a few minutes.
He says in
so-
part, well, you want to fill up with another?
No, I'm good.
Okay. He says in part, I live near Hazel, South Dakota, which is 44, 45, 32 north latitude. This time of year when we have short days, sunrise is after 8 a.m.
Oof.
Sunset is approximately 4:50 p.m. Daylight of 8 hours, 50 minutes, more or less. In June, near the summer solstice, sunrise is 5:41 a.m. and sunset is 9:20 p.m.
Yeah.
The day length is 15 hours, 38 minutes. Times for June are DST times. If we were to stay on standard time year-round, June sunrise would be 4:41 a.m. and sunset 8:20 p.m. I would prefer to be on DST in summer to get the extra hour of daylight after work. If we were to stay on DST year-round, sunrise not be until 9 a.m. near the winter solstice. I prefer to switch back to standard time so that sunrise is not so late. The result is that I prefer switching. I don't think that's a big deal. Just something people like to gripe about. In my opinion, we should rename it to something more descriptive, like summertime shift. I'm going to do my South Dakota.
I like that,
accent
actually.
Now, obviously, the daylight hours remain the same, regardless of how humans set clocks. You betcha. I threw that in there.
You
He
betcha.
did say you betcha. Farmers don't care about daylight savings time. I used to farm. Anyway, that works outside and depends on daylight. Is going to work when the sun is up, regardless of how the clocks are set. Farming, construction, oil field, mining, etc. I don't know any of those fields, by the way. I'm not familiar with what that means. Farming,
You know what I have to say about
construction,
this?
oil. Yes.
I appreciate the explanation, and also, this is getting hammered, not getting daylight saving time.
Savings time. Okay. But I will say this. I got the email the other night. I read it out loud. I said, "Oh, you're going to get a kick out of this," and I read it
Okay.
in my best Fargo accent. And Kate said she agrees with Kurt Parliament. So there you go. There you go, Kurt. I lost that argument.
I agree with Kurt in this, that I think people do disproportionate complaining about it. And I say it for this reason. My father, by hand, set every clock in our home every time there was a switch. For all those years, did I ever hear him complain about it? No, I did not.
Unappreciated.
He, in fact, did a grandfather clock regularly. He changed the weights on the grandfather clock. So I have no room to complain. Everything in my house basically changes itself. And if I leave the one in my car on one
Well,
time
I
for a
do the
year, it'll
change.
switch back to the correct time.
That's right. My car is now modern enough, my Subaru, that it will now switch. So I don't have to fiddle with that. I want to say my mother-in-law is also, she agrees with Kurt Parliament, keep things the way they are, because she likes it. Winter's supposed to be dark. She also has more clocks in her house in Connecticut than Captain Hook in his ship. Do you remember the clocks?
Love it.
Okay.
Shall we close it out for today?
That's it. And you know what?
Oh, wait. Pick your top one.
Oh. Did you switch these?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Pennsylvania Dutch, number 3. Which is still open, but I still have a little bit of the other one. Pennsylvania Dutch eggnog made with real dairy cream, rum, brandy, and blended whiskey, made and bottled by Dairyland Distillers, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's my favorite right
Okay,
there.
so my number 1, Old New England, going very off-brand in
You
the
went
region.
to the original.
Classic fresh dairy with bourbon whiskey, rum, brandy, and blended whiskey. I enjoyed that very much. The spice was good. The creaminess was good. Do I like eggnog?
Yeah, have you now seen the light?
I would not say I like eggnog. I say I can tolerate eggnog. But I have a greater understanding of why other people like it. Is that good enough?
That's good enough. For this show, I think it's good enough.
This is Mary Catherine. Hey, I'm not Mary Catherine Eggnog.
We'd like to wish a Merry Christmas to all our listeners out there. We'll be back after a little break. Don't worry, you can replay this. And if you were driving and couldn't listen to it when you, later on in the week, want to watch it because it's really amazing.
It's
really.
something else.
It's something else. That'll wrap up this episode of Getting Hammered. Remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Victorino Mattis.
I'm at MK Hammer on Twitter, at MK Hammer Time on Instagram. You can follow the show at Getting Hammered Podcast on YouTube and Instagram.
This is Top Chef, is not Top Scallops.
This has been a Nebulous Video Podcast. Thanks for getting hammered responsibly. Merry Christmas!